My wife and I had been married for 7 years. Our anniversary was April of 2020. We celebrated our anniversary in the house with the kids, playing board games, ordered food, and had an amazing time. Things were great, and I felt like the luckiest man in the world seeing my family happy. 4 years prior, my wife wanted to stay home and be a stay-at-home wife. That meant I worked more. At the time, she was okay with it. I will say it was nice coming home to a spotless clean home every day. Dinner made, breakfast made for me and the kids every single morning with packed lunch. I had gotten used to it. But at the end of the night on our 7th anniversary, my wife and I were in our bedroom drinking wine, having an amazing conversation, talking about fun times before the kids were born. The conversation was great until she asked me to tell her a negative thing about our marriage. I'd initially said I don't see a negative in our relationship, but she insisted I said something, that there has to be something. I thought about it and I said, I hate that you overly spoil the kids. I hate that they eat snacks and overly sugary foods, but you give in all the time. That truly was all I could think of. She said she understood and was working on it because she understood why I wanted that for them and for us as a family. She asked again if there was anything else and what about our sex life. I said I like it. She said she does too, but just wish there was more. I said, well, honey, same here, but I work near 60 hours a week. She said she understood, but just wish I could satisfy her before leaving for work every morning, that she felt so bothered all day, only for me to come home and still not be in the mood. I said, well, I drive 45 minutes to work and almost an hour back home because of traffic. I'm sorry. She admitted that she ordered some toys I never knew about, but I told her I was okay with that. In my mind, that was better than her cheating. What she said next spoiled my night up. It went like this. What if we tried an open marriage? I responded with, what if we tried divorce and you could go and have all the openness your little heart desires? She said she was serious, and I said so am I, that I'll contact a lawyer in the morning. She then told me to forget about it, that she's sorry and wanted to spice up our love life since she's the only one that cared about it. I told her to get ready to pack her things that were done. Now I'm drunk, but I remember everything clearly, and when I drink, I can easily get angry. I went to sleep, determined to get a divorce. It was the following day. My wife usually wakes up before everyone. This was on a Friday morning, and the kids were to go over to my sister's that day to stay the weekend, and they were out of school. When I woke up, I smelled breakfast and coffee, so I went into the kitchen and saw my wife was cooking. She turned around and started crying. I asked why she was crying, but she walked up to me and hugged me and apologized, saying she was sorry and begged me not to divorce her. Said she was stupid to ask for an open marriage and never wanted to lose me. After she finished cooking, we got intimate, and it was great. She was supposed to drop the kids off at my sister's that day and run some errands for her mother. It was a bit odd because I didn't understand why she needed to help her mother run an errand, but I let it go. On my way to work that morning, I just wasn't over the I'd want an open marriage request. It truly bothered me and made me feel like I wasn't enough. I went through a series of emotions mainly because I thought she must be cheating on me. While at work, I ended up deciding to leave for lunch, so I spoke with my boss, and he got someone else to handle my work for the rest of the day and the weekend. My thoughts were to fix my marriage, thinking maybe if I spice things up and start paying more attention to her, then this will all go away and things will get better. I'll admit, I did put a lot into work, but she wanted to stay home and raise the kids, so I had to work. I didn't always want to get it in as much as she did. We literally got it in every weekend, sometimes twice those days and once during the week. That was enough for me, but I guess not for her. I stopped at Whole Foods to prepare dinner. It was going to be amazing. With the kids at my sister's house that weekend, this was perfect. My wife was supposed to be home around 6 after running errands with her mom, so when she got home, I'd already have dinner done with wine and everything. This was me fighting to keep my marriage because I truly loved my wife and never even considered sleeping with anyone else. I spent over $300 on groceries and wine. I ended up buying other things for the house as well. I got home and my garage door was open. My thoughts were that she left the garage open because I certainly shut it after I left that morning, and her car was there. So I assumed she must have left with her mother or her mother came to pick her up. I parked in the garage, grabbed everything on one trip. Not easy at all, but I tend to do that a lot. I entered the garage and sat the groceries on the floor. As soon as I stood back up after putting the bags down, I heard moaning and clapping. I knew my wife's voice, and there was just continuous clapping. I ran upstairs, and it's for sure coming from my bedroom. When I got to my open bedroom door, I saw some guy pounding my wife with her legs straight up in the air. So this is where I apparently injured my wife and how she was able to sue me and get me to pay for her medical bills. I charged at the guy on top of my wife and tackled him from the back. Apparently, that split my wife pretty bad down there, where she had to have surgery. While she was screaming and crying, I was beating and stomping this guy I've never seen before. He eventually ran out and my wife is lying on the bed screaming and saying I should call the ambulance. There was blood under her and it was freaking bad. I called the ambulance. After telling the sheriff what happened, he showed up first and then told the ambulance workers, then another cop. I was arrested for assault. They spoke to my wife and she said that I attacked her. Guys, my wife of 7 years was cheating on me. I caught her cheating, tackled a man that was on top of her, and she didn't tell them she was cheating on me, and I got angry and tackled the guy. No, she said I attacked her specifically. I couldn't believe it. So Friday afternoon, I was in jail. I had never been to jail before. This was not me. I don't do things to go to jail, and here I was sitting with some other guys in the cell waiting to be able to make a phone call. The only phone numbers I knew by memory was my wife's number and my sister's number. My sister and I have always been very close. The way I was treated was miserable and horrible. I wasn't able to make a phone call until Saturday. They treated me like I was just this disgusting pig who just beats on women. This was one of the most devastating times of my life. When they finally allowed me to make a phone call, I went up to some desk where there was a phone and I called my sister. I was praying that she'd answer because we didn't have unlimited time on the phone and could only make one call. She answered after the third ring and was asking what was going on. I told her to please calm down, that they have me in jail, and I did absolutely nothing. So she asked what I needed her to do, and I told her to come bail me out. I told her exactly where I was by getting that information from the officer at the desk. After a while, she came down and used her credit card to bail me out. She did get paid back eventually, but she wanted me out of there immediately. She was crying and distraught. We got into her car and she asked what happened. I told her everything that started back from the night of our anniversary. How my wife was asking for an open marriage, my response to her, how she was apologizing and crying the following morning, how we made love before leaving for work, how I ended up leaving work early to surprise her with dinner and try to spice up our love life, and how I walked in on her getting banged out by some guy, and me not thinking. I just rushed the guy from behind and tackled him off of my wife, which was how she got hurt. I told her it was the honest truth, and she said she knew I wouldn't hurt my wife, and from what my wife told her, she knew my wife was lying in her story, just didn't make any sense. She said she still had the children and they're okay. She also told me that my wife claimed I hurt her, so she suggested I get a lawyer. That's exactly what I did. I went and got a lawyer. So here I am having to fight a case of domestic violence, assault charges, and divorce. I spent so much money. I even got all 3 of my kids' DNA tested. They all indeed are mine. On top of that, my wife must have completely forgotten that I had camera footage outside the house. So the guy's car and his license plates were red, and he was found, and he admitted everything. When I got home the day the garage door was open, because he went through the garage, she opened it for him. He had parked down the street, but you could still see his car from one of the cameras, and you could see the front of his license plate. He also drove past my house when he left, and you could also see the back license plate when he drove by. The police got that information from me and they found him. The criminal case was dropped within 3 weeks after finding this guy who was banging my wife. I also provided the footage to the officers, and they did indeed see a person coming into my home, but that didn't prove anything. So this guy, being honest and telling the truth about what really happened, helped out a lot. He did not want to press charges on me. He said what he did was bad. He knew that my wife was married, and he knew that he should not have been involved with her, but he really liked her when he met her. I wish I was in a state where I could sue for alienation of affection, but I couldn't. During our divorce hearings, My lawyer was hammering my wife by asking her why she tried to lie on her husband by telling the police that I assaulted her when in all actuality she was cheating on me, and I blacked out and tried to remove the man who was on top of her. She and her lawyer had no words. My ex-wife demanded spousal support and child support. I fought for 50-50 custody. My lawyer told me it was going to be a hard fight for her not to get spousal support, though. It was indeed, and I did lose that fight, but it's not as bad as most cases I've heard. I had to pay spousal support for 1 year to give my ex-wife time to find a job because she can work. She wanted lifetime spousal support. It was ridiculous. We did share 50-50 custody of our children, so no child support. She was very upset about that and tried to say that I work too much and there's no possible way I can take care of the kids 50% of the time and that she needs them, and I need to pay child support. It all sounded silly because I only started working so many hours because she didn't want to work and she wanted so much more. I even got her a brand new car, and not just any car, a BMW. I had to work extra. If I just work 40 hours a week, I make really good money, but imagine your wife wanting her own car, and it needs to be a brand new car while I was driving an 8-year-old truck at the time. She still has that car and it's paid off. The way our custody was set up, the kids stay at her place during the week because of school, but I get them every weekend. I pick them up Friday after school, and I take them to school Monday morning, and I don't have to pay any child support. But till this day, she is still bummed out about that. She is now working again as a receptionist at a car dealer, BMW, and she complains about how she doesn't earn enough money to take care of the kids, and every time they need something for school, field trips, or things like that, she calls me to tell me that they need this, the kids need that, the kids want everything. She pays for nothing but her own bills at home, and she feels like it should be that way, and that she should not have to buy anything for the kids. Honestly, one night she called me and said the kids are hungry and they want pizza, that I have to pay for it because she doesn't make as much money as me, and she hung up. I texted my oldest to ask him if everything was okay. He called me and told me everything was fine and that their mom didn't feel like cooking, but he's preparing food for him and his siblings using the air fryer. He's really good at that. He knows how to use the air fryer. I still bring groceries over because she calls and says she doesn't have any money for food. It's like she's trying to make me pay in her own way. Since she couldn't get child support and alimony from me, she wants me to pay for everything by saying, "Hey, your kids need this." And before anyone asks, yes, I tried to get full custody of my kids, but that didn't happen. I wasted a lot of money with the lawyer who actually told me I had a very good chance. I had no chance at all, and I started to realize that the further we went into the case, I was not getting custody of my kids. It just wasn't going to happen, and it didn't. I wasted money doing that. She did indeed sue me for her medical bills, and she won. Over $12,000 was due, and I was responsible according to the judge. But yeah, I had to pay that. She tried to sue for more, but the judge did not allow her to receive more than what was due for the medical bills, so I paid exactly that. I had to pay for another lawyer. Oh, and she tried to get me to pay for her lawyer then and her lawyer in divorce. It was ridiculous. She succeeded with me having to pay her divorce lawyer, which sucked, but this time around her trying to sue me, and she hired a lawyer to do so. It didn't work. I didn't have to pay that lawyer. She has threatened to off me. She still stands by that I assaulted her. I ruined her parts down there, and she'll never be the same. Look, I didn't mean to hurt my ex-wife. I don't hurt people. Did I want to hurt that guy? Absolutely. I wanted to knock his head off. If I had a weapon at the time, and I was standing at the door, I probably would be in prison right now. I just hope my kids grow up, and they're not bothered by this, or it doesn't shape them to be negative in any way. I had to pay my ex-wife for a whole year. I had to fight to not pay child support. I had to pay for her lawyer. It's ridiculous. The judge even said, "Well, Mr. Smith, you filed for divorce, and I believe you should be okay with paying because you wanted this divorce. So you should pay for her lawyer." This woman knew that my wife was cheating on me. She knew. She saw the evidence. She saw everything on camera footage of this guy coming into my home. The guy admitted to the police that he was cheating with my wife. The police report was read during our divorce hearing, and she makes it as if, well, You wanted the divorce, so pay for your wife's divorce lawyer. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked over at my lawyer and couldn't believe it, and my lawyer didn't even say anything. Guys, I want to say another thing. In today's age, a lot of people are about entrepreneurship and being their own boss, owning tech companies and things like that. This is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that in the far future, a lot of licensed professionals will be women. Think about it. A lot of them go to school to become lawyers and doctors and stuff like that. Just imagine if all the divorce judges were women. I'm not saying as men, go become a judge just so you can be biased towards women. But be fair, men are more logical. This woman literally was telling me that I filed for divorce, so I should be okay paying this. She was saying this knowing that my ex-wife was cheating on me, but still she wanted to side with my ex-wife. She doesn't know this lady personally, but the fact that it was a woman, she tried to side with my ex-wife. Though it's tough when she calls and say the kids are hungry, there's no groceries, and I asked my oldest and he says, "Yeah, we don't have any food. Of course I go and get groceries." My kids are not going to starve, but I hate that she gets to not be a parent and take care of her own kids like me. This is supposed to be 50-50, but it's not working out that way. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.